Today, we're taking you into the heart of Berlin's vibrant streetwear scene, where creative force, brand strategist, and CIFF chosen family Julian Daynov sits down with the founders of Prohibited, one of the most talked about emerging brands redefining edge, laid-back coolness, and authentic energy, who over few seasons catapulted themselves from the CIFF floor onto the shop floors of some of the world's most renowned retailers. Born in Berlin, built for the algorithm, worn by the cool, Prohibited speaks to a generation that scrolls, shares, and wears their identity out loud in the streets. So lean in, listen closely, and take notes on what works in next-gen fashion business tricks.
Guys, once again, thank you so much for making time to come and see me today.
Thank you so much for having us.
I've been following your journey for quite a while, to be very honest, and not because I'm only obsessed with what you guys do, but also because I'm obsessed with what you as a brand have achieved in the last couple of years. So I thought it might be very, very interesting for all of us here to have a conversation about how you came up this far where you are in such a very short amount of time, and how do you still manage to stay as relevant, as cool, and as inspiring for your own community, but also for a lot of others who are engaging with your brand and try to be, in a way, copying with the biggest admiration a lot of the patterns you apply on your business models. So first of all, thanks again so much for coming. And what did I extract you out of today? What were you working on right before you came around?
First of all, thank you so much for the introduction. I hope we can hold up to that expectations now.
Definitely.
Yeah. Let's see. No, we might have something interesting for everyone. Right now we're preparing the order for the Q1 2026. So we went to Pitti last week and going to CIFF in August. And in between we have our order round. So at the moment we're finalizing all order sheets and everything and make sure we got all the samples, all the prices right and all the details. So it's busy weeks at the moment, but still happy to be here, and we're looking forward to that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it was all about scheduling meetings. So the Pitti again last week was a very big success, and there were very nice people that want to start to work with us from all over the world. And now it's very important to prioritize and also to schedule all these meetings, because for us, one of the most important things in sale is to meet the clients at their place, so we fly a lot of to London and now also to Canada, and we also go to Düsseldorf Fashion Days, so there's plenty of work the next 4 weeks that we have to organize actually.
I really love how everybody in the industry has been celebrating you, and how everybody really falls in love, not just with your styles, but with the very modern contemporary approach you add, not just onto your designs, but also into your marketing and brand building abilities. So when you were starting to build up the brand, did you necessarily have a very common or default plan, as like everyone else practically thinks a brand is being built up? Or did you say, hey, you know what? Let's go do some t-shirts. Let's start with some caps. How did you all end up doing what you do now?
Yeah, it's exactly the second one. So we just started out with some basic t-shirts and basic hoodies and thought, like, you know what, there's so many fashion brands out there, like no one needs another one. So but if we want to be in fashion, we have to make sure we got the basics right, a bit like Cristobal Balenciaga started back in the days, making sure the fit's right, making sure the fabric's right, making sure the colors look great, and that's what we did. So it was a white t-shirt, black t-shirt, gray t-shirt in the beginning, and a black hoodie, gray hoodie, navy blue hoodie. And we've really focused on these three things: fabrics, fit, and the colors. And everything else was added on top over time, actually. We're kind of opportunistic, I would say. Like, sometimes just things happen and people come up to you and like suggest to do anything, to try that one, And we tried a lot of different things, and we're happy it worked out so far.
Great point. What are you wearing today, actually? Like, tell me more about what kind of your great collection pieces did you put on?
It's a very good question. So I start at the bottom maybe. So I have some very nice Birkenstocks on, because we are not in shoes. But I have my favorite socks on, Prohibited tennis socks, highly recommendable.
I wear these too, by the way.
Really? Did you check them out?
Of course.
Yeah, I think it's a great gift for all the fairs, the people love it, to be honest. And then, I wear my favorite pants. It's the Prohibited pleated pants, just restocks, and we just restocked it, and it's sold out straight away again. So it's our most successful pants so far, and I'm very proud of it because we start with all these jersey and sweat styles, and I've never imagined that Patrick will do such a great job as a designer. He's
Oh my God.
so
Me neither. So.
and from the top, it's I think it's called Bahama shirt, right?
Yeah.
Also a very good example, actually. When I've seen it at the line sheet, I wasn't, Patrick, are you serious? Do we really need that? It looks a little
Yes.
cringy, but I love it, and that's
incredible.
also describes my job. I'm not the designer, and I'm not able to imagine these things like Patrick is doing it. And yeah, my favorite piece from now at the time is my new hat. It's not even out, right? It's a sample for Q2 next year or something. I just took it from the office, and now it's mine.
That's a good thing, right? You have all the samples right at your hand.
That's how
and
it
then
works
you
with the
can-
team, right? Anybody can wear
100%.
whatever they want from the sample room, then I'll start being your intern then.
Absolutely.
No, it's like that.
What
Everyone
are you
loves it.
wearing, Patrick? That's a beautiful shirt. Really.
Oh, thank you so much. It's also
incredible.
from our latest collection, the summer collection, same as this one. This is our, I don't know, what's the
I think it's called pool shirt.
striped pool shirt or something like that. No, it's a very heavy, thick cotton dress shirt, and you can wear it open or closed, usually with a white tank top underneath. And then I wear a hat, also not released yet. It's gonna come out or be released in August. And then I'm wearing some jorts and some our socks, of course, and some loafers. And I think that represents our brand perfectly, in the sense of like loafers and dress shirts are more like, you would consider that more on the preppy side of the fashion, but like these longer jorts and hats are more in the streetwear sphere, I'd say. And that's the mix of those two worlds is exactly what we're trying to do. And so I think, as I knew I was gonna come here today, I thought like maybe I'll try to mix the both parts together and showcase it today.
It always looked absolutely great. So whenever I
Thanks so
see you
much.
guys, be it around the city or like at conferences, at trade shows, obviously, or anywhere else, you always look absolutely smashing. And I love the fact that you totally carry only your pieces and they looked in the most authentic way. I think this is probably one of the highest and best selling point for everybody else to fall in love with the collection, because you represented it in the most authentic way.
Thank you so much.
But when you were starting to, like juggle with the idea to end up having an own brand, you mentioned that it was all made of, the personal need to, hey, we need a greater t-shirt, we need a cooler hoodie, and so on and so forth. But did you pencil out a proper, idea of a desired target group or a desired retailer scope you want to work at? Because you obviously said you've split more or less the two divisions, the purely design and creative one, and obviously also very creative, but still more in the business side division, which you head up. How did you decide to be like, hey, you know what? That's going to be my territory. That's going to be you. And together we're going to be like a super strong unit.
I think we ended up splitting it like that very naturally. So because like we both have a background in business, so usually would say both are more on the business side. But we figured on the way, like if we want to become a real brand, you also need the creative. So you cannot only do business, you also need fashion and creative and culture and stuff like that. So we thought like if we're two founders and you need both parts, and I personally think you need to balance both parts really well, because we see a lot of people who are strong on one of the sides, but I think personally you need probably both sides to make it work. And so that came very natural to us. And Philips loves sales in terms of like just being with customers, talking to them, like having a good time. And like also I think that's where we can really show our energy that we put in, and like that also the customers can feel that. And that's all about like being there personal or on the phone. And then I also fell in love with all the design stuff. Like I was always like interested in fashion and stuff, but I never like thought I would be where I would end up as a fashion designer one day. But like so far, I'm very grateful to be in that role right now. So yeah, it came very natural, and we both found our right places in our careers and also in the business.
Yeah. And I think a very important point is that we also hang out, on Sundays. So we work from Monday to Saturday in the office, but on Sundays we go fishing or something, So we see us like every day a week, and only for Christmas we do not call like every day or something, So we're like best friends, and so this makes many things much easier, because there's nothing like that. He is just doing the designs and I'm just doing the sales and the finance. So everything is teamwork. And I really also like the mix from the business side and also being creative. I'm not that creative as Patrick, but also for the fairs, for example, and for our office, I had multiple chances, to just bring out my own creative ideas to be successful, like with the coffee concept at the Pitti with the iced coffee and stuff, I really like the attention to detail we can bring to our work and to just do everything a little bit better every day.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say necessarily you're not creative, as you said. It's just like other areas. So I ended up doing the product. So that's what people typically say it is the creative part. But obviously, there's so much more creativity in the business, in how we approach things and stuff like that. So it's not only about designing stuff, right? Yeah.
There's a lot of creativity, and you obviously developed or managed to develop a very own personal signature, which is easily identifiable and is totally your own. How did you end up, creating this narrative? Did you have, like, let's say, a couple of inspiration directions which you were challenged to look at, or did you say, you know what, I was missing exactly that visuals or exactly these kind of representation in different brands which I'm buying as a personal consumer, and that's why we want to do this? Or how did you approach it?
I think the creative story starts way earlier when we were about to start the company, because the origin was that we said, all right, we do not feel that we want to work in these big corporates for the rest of our lives. So maybe it's a good idea to start a company for people like us. And that's what's working quite well at the moment. So we are now, I think, 25, 26 very talented and skillful people. And, right now it's all about the team, and, team gets better and better. So yeah, this is the start and the end of the story. And then with Prohibited, it actually started with the name, so in the early days, like 4.5 years ago, we just brainstormed about the names. And we couldn't imagine that Prohibited is free, and then, we secured all the brand rights worldwide. Costed a whole bunch of money, actually. It was quite expensive with all the lawyers. And then actually the creative story started to rise, right? Maybe you can talk a little bit more design-wise, yeah.
Exactly. So design-wise, like if you remember back in the days 2020 when COVID started, all these streetwear brands especially in Germany, all these streetwear brands emerged, and all were going more or less in the same direction, kind of oversized hoodies, oversized tees, cargos, white Air Force Ones, and then the whole narrative was a very gangster one, right? I came from the streets and now I'm here, look at how rich I became, and blah 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 blah. And that was the same time that German hip hop really became popular again, or it became very mainstream popular, I would say. And the narrative was the same, so that matched really well. So people listened to the songs, and everyone had the same story. I came from nothing and now I'm rich, and the fashion was following that kind of. But we never we don't come from the streets. We also don't come from we don't come from the ghetto, let's say like that. And so that story never was authentic to us. Of course, a lot of people tell that story, although they didn't have that background. But for us, we felt like it needs to be authentic if we want to really do something. And we felt like all the brands go in the same direction. And that's why we came up with the idea of, hey, let's try to show people that you can still look cool while not only wearing ski masks, right? So that's why we came up with the idea of okay, if you mix those streetwear elements, these oversized hoodies, oversized tees, with some more preppy elements, with a dress shirt or with a nice tailored pants or something like that, it creates a whole different look, although still remain that coolness and that freshness. And that's also something I haven't seen quite a lot at that time. So there were not really brands in Germany trying to do that or doing that aesthetic. Obviously, there's brands like Aimé Leon Dore, Kith, and stuff in the US that also have different prices, obviously, but that showcased an idea of how this can look. But obviously, still, we want to make it our own. We want to make it work for Germany, and obviously, we are in a different price level as them. So we saw an opportunity, let's say, not a need maybe, but an opportunity in the market to try and show people how a different approach on streetwear, and how you can dress it up a little and it looks way more sophisticated. And that's what we try to do from the start, for when we started with the basics, but then adding more and more fashion items into the brand. We try to tell people the story and show them how they can dress up a little and still look cool.
Amazing. Let's fast forward a teeny tiny bit. How many collections do you have a year now? Basically, fast forward to where you are now. How many collections do you have? How do you combine them? How do you make sure that all that processing is really maintained and people who are really needy and mm, in a wish to wear something of Prohibited always get supplied with the right products?
Yeah, so basically, I'd say we think in quarters. So for us, it's Q1, 2, 3, and 4, and we have 4 sales like order phases, for example. So to say, 4 times a year you can pre-order something for us, but we have more drops on like online and like delivery days, right? So one order might be that like there's at least 2 drops per quarter, and might be different collections, might be just like first installment, second installment. So because we figured like for the whole wholesale business, they are quite tight on like having their dates right and when they want what styles and stuff like that. And we're coming from a D2C perspective, right? Like before we started wholesale, it was just like, okay, the production is done, let's put it online, here you go, right? And then like, okay, when we started working with these like wholesalers, we learned like fashion doesn't work like that. So now we switched things up, but still we want to keep like, because on social media, if you have 1 drop per quarter, that's 3 months. You have to work with the same content, with the same products, and all the same. So you have to really stretch it over 3 months, and like the same stories you can tell and stuff like that. So we figured if like that's very challenging, and also if one collection doesn't hit, then there's 3 months of like trying to sell that collection that didn't work in the first place. So we figured online is very important to always tell new stories and be able to tell something new. So that's why we figured we have multiple installments per quarter. So it's basically online you'll find something new almost every month.
Well, Philip, you just mentioned that you were really triggered and happy that you started as an purely e-commerce business, but then very soon you started tapping into physical retail.
Yeah.
How did you end up doing this?
Yeah, so main reason basically is that we both prefer to buy offline. We love the experience to be out there, especially also where we have our office at the Altschenhauser and Münchstraße. We just love to be in the shops. And for me, additionally, I have not the right size for fashion. So when I buy something online, it's like 80% returns, And I always say, Patrick, if something fits me perfect, the measurements are shit, because I'm just too tall. The whole story also, like everything with us, it was just naturally, So there was one guy from Ingolstadt in Germany, and he dropped me a DM and said, I'm a customer. I found you on TikTok. Is it possible to sell your product in my sneaker store? And I was like, yes, of course. Maybe we can try that out. And then we made on a concession deal and just tried it for 2 weeks. And he sold out like, I think 25 or 30 T-shirts. Shout outs to Manuel at this point. And then, I think like 2 months later, we had like 30 stores. So I had a student who helped me a lot on that. And then, I thought maybe it's a good idea to just, to end with these commission thing and just to sell it, and make, proper progress on that. And this is now, I think a little bit more than 1.5 years ago. And, the funny thing was that, after half a year, we had like 70 stores or something. And I went to the biggest organization for buying katak. I don't know the word in English, And he asked me about the conditions and blah, blah, and how we work. And he doesn't really get it because I had no clue what I'm doing. And then so shout out to Jörg at this point, he explained me how the business works actually. And then I was like, Patrick, maybe we have to be a little bit quicker with the collections and to offer some pre-orders.
We should do it just like the others.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't rethink and reprogram everything.
Yeah, because for the first 3 years, we didn't have any network, we didn't really, before we went to the fairs, there was no network from us. Patrick is from banking, I'm from oil, so no fashion network. And then, we went on and on, went to the first fairs actually, Pitti Umu last year in January. And now, after nearly 2 years in wholesale, we have 350 stores and all the big players for online. So Zalando is very successful with us, and we're very, very happy to have them. And same also for ASOS, who is very important for UK market for us. As with Brexit, it's quite hard to ship directly. It's quite expensive. And now we start with Boost with our Scandinavian friends. I'm really looking forward to that. Very good. They got very good friends after the pity. And yes, this is how we work actually. And for me, it's always important to do not too much sales. So after every fair, I call Marco from Drycon and ask him about the customers and what he thinks. And he was always like, yeah, maybe you chill a little down, because, it always sounds easy, but with all the operations, for example, now we start with La Maison Simmons in Canada. And you really, selling is the one thing, but more important is that your customers, so La Maison and Boost, is successful and that all the operations are on time and perfectly. So yeah, you need to keep the balance. But at the moment, we are very happy with that. And we also have a great wholesale team, actually. So we are now 4 people supporting me. And it's the best job I ever had. And if I could wish, I would do sales only the whole day, and don't do all these finance stuff at the end,
Fair enough. You said a lot that you had a lot of mentors, be it
Yeah.
like your friends from Drycorn or any other people who you met, and you also said you've somehow had a love affair with the Scandinavian markets for quite a long time. You've always been visiting and coming to the CIFF
Yeah.
since basically the very beginning. How do you believe trade shows and being present at a trade show format as the CIFF or any other ones on the planet is actually giving exposure and popularity to the brand? How did it change your perspective on wholesale or any of the other new markets which you started exploring?
Yeah, I think for us it was the most important key for success in wholesale, to be honest, because even if we would have all the clients next year in the world, we would go there still to just be present, and to show all the customers and all the partners that we do a lot of work and have a new collection and blah blah, and just to chat and have a little drinks. So just for the partnerships, it's so important to be there and to meet new people. And on the other hand, for new customers, I was always thinking out of the role from a buyer. And if you are a buyer, you get probably like 50 LinkedIn DMs a day. So we thought from the beginning we have to go to fairs. So it wasn't like a question. So we wanted to go there and be a part of it. And then the most important question always is, before we start a fair, is what can we do to give some value, for the people around there. So and that's why we came up with this Prohibited Cafe idea and all the outfits ideas for our employees and for the team, So we put a lot of work in, and so we are very happy that also some results are coming. But even though if they wouldn't come for let's say one fair, we would also go there again, because that's really what we love, to go out there, meet new people, connect with the people and get some feedback, That's most important thing to us.
So definitely everyone listening who's going to be going to the CIFF, make sure to stop by the booth of Prohibited, because there's definitely something to see. And obviously I'm excited to see the outfits of your stuff, because you always come up with some really quirky, super hot looks for everyone working at the trade show. So excited to see that too.
Thank you so much.
you.
If
Thank
anyone
you.
is out there who doesn't want to see the outfits, there's free coffee, so I have to come by.
At least this. Here we go.
At least the free coffee.
Come for the coffee, stay for the fashion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like that.
Your exposure and your success and your growth is based a lot on personal friendship, personal relationship, neighborhood, community. And you obviously have a very, very solid and strong community. How do you make sure you stay relevant within this community? And how do you expand onto other communities?
Yeah, so that's one of the focus areas for 2025, actually. So glad that you mentioned that. No, we're trying to do different stuff, and we personally think it's in 2025. I think there's better chances to really build up a community if you go offline. Like no matter how, like we come from like online, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff, but like we feel like people are a little bit tired of like seeing the fashion brands and everyone's doing their BTS and everyone's doing their email signups, and you can get your early access and stuff like that, but that's not really community, right? Community means you bring people together, and that's we personally think that can be achieved the best if you go offline. That's why we sponsor a lot of parties in Berlin for the most part, and we started a run club, which is like growing super fast. So on the last weekend we had like 100 people, which is the max capacity for our office. So we have to think of new ways on where to do it, because like people like just show up, and it's so great to see how, like, what kind of people show up there, because like if you're selling online, right, you don't see the faces. It's not that like selling in the store, you know, in the store you see the people coming in, you have an idea of who your customer is. We don't. Like, we have the metrics and we have the ages and stuff like that TikTok or Meta shows us, but like seeing the faces of the people, seeing who actually buys it, and like speaking about the product, that's something that we never had this experience. But now, like, because we host it in our showroom, people see the stuff and like they start asking you questions about like, oh, is this from the last collection that dropped last week? I definitely wanted to buy it, can I try it on? And that's something that's really cool and really helpful also, because as your question was like how you stay relevant, I think for people is the most important thing is to give them what they want, right? To have a great product, and a great product that people want to buy. That's obviously like business-wise important, but obviously if you keep delivering great product, people will like keep in a loop, and like obviously it has to be interesting. You have to tell some nice stories around what you're doing and stuff. We try to do that, but that's the base. And as we meet more and more people in real life, I feel like there's like a real community growing, and this should be the base for every brand probably. So
I
we're
really
trying to
love the
focus on.
fact how over the last couple of months, you have actually started as a pure e-com, as a social media first brand, and developed very much into a community first approach. So how do you think this authenticity is gonna develop over the years? How do you make sure to track it and to keep connected with everyone?
It's a good question. I think this also comes very natural to us, because we don't try to be someone we're not. Like if you look at other brands, competitor brands, like especially if you look at the last 2-3 years, almost every founder of a brand that went okay successful bought a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or whatever, and all that stuff. So, and we don't care about that. Like we were the least paid employees in our own company. Like everyone else got like earned more money than we did and stuff like that, and like we're just like that, I think. And we try, like, we do not like, it's not a strategy to be authentic, we just are, and like we can't be something else really. So
Yeah, we really work too much to not be authentic. It wouldn't work, you know, if you put in so much hours. It's it's hard to play a role for such a long time.
And actually one thing I want to add is we do everything in-house, right? Like there's no agency involved. There's nothing, like no like outside heads or brains involved in what we do. That obviously makes it quite easy to be authentic, because like if you come to a running club, there's us and the team you'll be seeing. If you go to a shooting, there's us and the team you'll be seeing. Like it's all our employees, interns. We have our own videographer, and she's there obviously and stuff. So we also run our own warehouse. So everything you see, every touch point you have with us is us, right? And also for the wholesale clients, if they call us, they'll call the guys that they saw on the fair, because there's no agency on the fair. There's no hostesses on the fair. Is us, right? Is we are like the ones you'll be in touch with, and that's as authentic as you can be, I think. And there's no plan to change that strategy. So yeah, I think that's maybe it now.
Absolutely great. A lot of the points you just mentioned sounded like a really great piece of advice, and I'm sure that a lot of people now playing with the idea to launch an own brand might be taking it well. What would you have done differently when you look back now and thinking, hey, you know what? Probably with like the idea of fashion and the idea of the industry we own and command over now, we wouldn't have done this or that in the way we actually did.
Yeah, there are probably too many things. I think when like 55% of ideas are not failing, then you become very successful, you know. So many things still fail, to be honest. But yeah, if I need to say one thing, I would say ask for feedback and get a network, you know, because we both think that you do not really get a good network if you go to networking events, right? You just need to put in the work and then show people that are in the place you want to be to ask for feedback. And, you know, in fashion, most people are very happy to give you feedback, you know, and we always learn the most if people are very hard to us, and that's what we like, you know. So I think in fashion you have to put a lot of work in, and you also need to be like quite how you say
Persistent.
persistent. Yeah, it's like that.
And hardworking, which you definitely say you are.
Yes.
I think the best.
Resilient and hardworking. This is what we can say, because like every single week something happens where we say, why always we? But you know, it's the same in every fashion company, you know, especially nowadays with the global supply chain and all these problems and wars we have, you know, it's just fucked up, to be honest. And you need to find solutions for everything.
Yeah, and I think if there's one thing you can control is how much work and energy you put into something, right? That's like, because you can't control the outcome, there's always luck involved. There's always like like stuff that happens, and like you can't control who you ran into on a fair or something like that, but you can show up on a fair. You can do the work, you can be there, you can like do everything. You can fly out to Turkey and see the factories yourself and check the product yourself and stuff like that. So that's what you can control. And I think like with fashion being so competitive, I think the best piece of advice is to don't start a fashion brand in the first place. I like, knowing what we know now, we probably wouldn't start a fashion brand again. But like, being the place we are right now, we're very happy that we did. And the second best thing is just to like give it all you have and like just go for it.
Yeah, and team, of course, if I can add that. So I would never, ever recommend someone to start a company or a fashion brand with their best friend or with their partner, you know. But we were just lucky that we found our role and never had a bad time, and always are quite lucky to have us. And at the end, this gives us, you know, some superpower, you know, because it's a different feeling if you go on your own on a sunny Sunday with 25 degrees at 1 p.m. To Cologne, 7 hours by car. I would absolutely hate it. But, you know, if Patrick sits next to me, you know, we have a chat and talk a little bit trash and everything is fine, you know. We didn't go to Cologne on Sunday and have a beer in the nighttime and a good dinner and live our life, you know, and just like it, you know. And love what you do and find a good team. That's also very important, I think.
Where are you now at, business-wise, retail-wise, and sales-wise?
Yeah, so last year we ended the year with something between 4 and 5 million in revenue, and we nearly had a growth of 150% last year to 2023. And this year we will definitely double up our revenue again. So I think maybe we will do the 10 million for the first time this year, but maybe not this year, maybe next year. You know, but the good thing is we only make a plan once a year. You know, when we on Christmas we make a week off, and the only to do for this Christmas week is to make a planning for the next year, and then, you know, we make a planning, but this planning is actually after 1 week we forget it, because, you know, so many things happen that, you know, it's not that important, this planning thing, because at the end of the day our company is profitable, and we want to do it like 30-40 years more, and to give it to our sons and daughters one day. So it doesn't really matter if growth is good or very good. Very important. More important is, you know, that everyone in the company is happy and can grow, and also that the, you know, company gets better and better. But actually we do not look so much on numbers as people think, probably, to be honest.
Like, not on the revenue, right? Like the overall revenue is not that important. Obviously it's important that we're profitable and like everyone gets their salary like on time, but like so far in 5 years,
and also a growing salary. So like the last 2 years average salary have grown like on average 25 to 30% year on year, and that's also a major goal, you know. Like
you
that.
mentioned 5 years. Where do you see the company and yourselves in 5 years?
Oh, we got lots of ideas, but like we're trying to like obviously focus on Prohibited, making a real fashion brand and establish in that sense. Like like establish ourselves in the fashion world, getting to know more people, like growing our network, like making sure it works for all our partners. So like obviously improve the product, it sells even better, and like the customers like it even better. That will also help like all our wholesale partners to sell our stuff even better. So the talks are much more fun if your stuff sells, right? Like if your product doesn't sell, then like you don't want to sit in a meeting for 2 hours maybe, but that's something. And like obviously we see ourselves like, Berlin is such a great place to be and such a great place to live, and there's so many creative people here. But the funny thing is, especially for the fashion scene, there's not much business going on like that. And we try like, because like we always talk about that there's probably 5-6 universities and like probably 5,000 or 6,000 fashion designers like getting educated there every year, and like and ended with their degree and like looking for jobs. And there's, if you look at the job market in Berlin, there's like, of course there's a lot of fashion brands in that sense, but they like small fashion brands that do their shows and like have a lot of like 20 interns and no one gets a salary and stuff like that. So we try to also be a brand and maybe a role model for Berlin on like how fashion can also be a business and like can bring real jobs and real value to the local scene. That's like, Philip is born in Berlin and I fell in love here in the city, so that's another goal that we're like focusing on, like also like growing our team number-wise and growing each person individually in their skills, and also like maybe be a role model for how you can do fashion and still also build a business at the same time and like make it work. So Berlin hopefully get some new and more fashion brands that's like relevant in the next years.
And if everything with the brands work, then maybe we also want to bring back a fashion show, like a trade show to Berlin actually, because so many people talk so good about the bread and butter back then, but now we really focus on our next big event, and that's the CIFF in Copenhagen actually. Really looking forward. Also very short distance for us. It's only like 5 hours travel there, and it feels like a holiday, So we go 2 hours to Rostock, then on the ferry for another 2 hours, and then everything is so chilled and perfect. So we just love it and really look forward to it. And actually, to be honest, the weekend before, we are there privately with a good friend. So this will be a very smooth start into the CIFF, as we are there for like 1.5 weeks or something. So we really look forward privately and business-wise, actually. Yeah.
So you're definitely going to arrive on Copenhagen time, even before the trade show.
100%.
Absolutely.
And I think it should be a great idea to possibly, because you mentioned you do a lot of these runs, it should be possibly a great idea to do a CIFF run with you guys in Copenhagen during the CIFF. So
that's going to be something, yeah.
Where are you heading to next, you guys?
So I'll go on a festival this weekend, and after that I'll go back to the office and prepare for the CIFF that's coming up in August. So we'll definitely have something to prepare there, and looking forward to go to Copenhagen.
I don't go to the festival. I just focus on the next sell-in, to be honest. And then I will look forward to Copenhagen, where we will be like 10 days or something, right? So quite a long time, but we love Copenhagen, so let's go.
I'm sure Copenhagen loves you too, and is going to love you even more. So thank you so much again for not only always finding the way to Copenhagen and the CIFF, but also making some time to come and see me here in the office and talk about your plans, the future of Prohibited, and where do you want to take not just your personal self to, but also the brand and your team. So all the best of luck for you. And I'm sure that not just myself, but everybody else who's listening and watching are going to be happy to witness. So all the best for you for that journey, and all the best of luck.
Thank you so much, Julian. Thanks so much for having us, and thank you so much for bringing us this opportunity to be on this podcast. And everyone who listens and is going to CIFF, make sure you stop by at Prohibited and talk to us and get a free coffee.